Now is Republican Congressman Jason Chaffetz. He's chairman of the House Oversight Committee, also a member of the Judiciary Committee. Congressman, thanks for being here in studio.
Good morning. Good morning.
Great to have you here.
Thanks.
Let's start with the president's accusations of wiretapping. Do you believe that President Obama illegally wiretapped President Trump?
Well, we don't know. The president asked for an investigation, and he's going to get it. That will be led by the House Intelligence Committee, Devin Nunes. We will play a supporting role in the Oversight and Government Reform Committee. I'm not going to presuppose the conclusion of this. We'll look at the evidence, if there is evidence, and we will.
Have you seen any evidence?
Well,
thus far?
we're just starting this. I mean, caught us all by surprise over the weekend, and we're just starting that process, and we'll look closely at it.
Does it require an entire investigation? Can you, as the chairman of the House Oversight Committee, pick up the phone and call the FBI or the Department of Justice and say, hey, was there a FISA warrant for this?
Well, I wish it was that easy. I did contact Director Comey over the weekend. He did not call me back. I hear these reports about what he believes and what he says. I find them with little to no credibility.
So this is interesting. So you called him.
I texted him.
You texted Director Comey to find out if he is in fact incredulous.
Yeah, I'd like to talk to him. I said, please call me if you can. And I'd like to know that.
And you got no response?
No response. And so, but that's not atypical. I mean, that's not out of the ordinary. Sometimes he calls me back, sometimes he doesn't. He has been very accessible to members of Congress, and he was just up on Capitol Hill talking to the House Intelligence Committee. And so, again, they're in the best position. They will lead out on this, but we can support them in that effort.
But is there a way to circumvent an entire committee investigation? Can the president, for instance, pick up the phone and call the Department of Justice and say, was there a FISA warrant issued when I was running my campaign?
So we have the whole spectrum here, right? You have the Democrats flailing and saying that there are Russian ties and collusion with the Trump campaign. Well, give us some evidence. I don't see any evidence of that. And on the other end of the spectrum...
Yes, but what about, you're asking for evidence. What about the Michael Flynn conversations? What about the Paul Manafort having resigned? Isn't that evidence of some sort of contact with the Russians?
Again, the House Intelligence Committee is going to lead out on that, but it's flimsy at best. There's some incidental contact, but to make that leap and say that there was some degree of collusion, we haven't seen anything yet that would lead you to believe that, yes, indeed, other than incidental contact, that there was some sort of collusion. And on the other end of the spectrum, to be fair, what President Trump has said, you know, we're at the very beginning of that. That happened, I think, on Saturday. We want to see evidence of that. So anybody in the government can come forward, particularly to House Intelligence, but also to the Oversight and Government Reform Committee, and provide us that evidence. We would like to see it.
How often do you wake up in the morning and read a President Trump tweet and go, uh-oh?
You have to get up kind of early. Well, it is interesting. It is a different and new dynamic. And, you know, he chooses how he wants to communicate, but he does certainly make it interesting, yes.
Yes, but I mean, as the chairman of the Oversight Committee, then there's going to have to be action. I mean, do you think...
No, not on everything. Not on everything. The president said that he thought that there was widespread, you know, voter fraud. I don't see any of the evidence of that. We're not doing an investigation of that. So sometimes you do, sometimes you don't.
He was actually calling for an investigation into voter fraud.
Well,
but you're not doing that.
I'm not doing that.
Because you think that one
I really haven't seen any evidence of that.
So that one was specious.
Yeah, so look, the federal government has 2+ million employees. We have 70. So we have to judiciously look at this one at a time. We can't just investigate everything that's ever thrown out there.
I understand.
By the Democrats, by the Republicans, we have to pick and choose.
Sure, so you've seen no evidence of the voter fraud. That one's specious. You've also seen no evidence that President Obama illegally wiretapped President Trump. Why investigate that one?
Well, the president is directly asking and calling for that. I've talked with Devin Nunes. They're leading out on that, and we're going to look into it.
Do you think that President Obama was illegally wiretapping?
I've learned long enough that you don't presuppose the outcome. When you look around the corner, sometimes you find something you didn't expect to find. So I think it's a legitimate question. The president is emphatic about it. We're going to look at it and try to figure it out.
Let's talk about the Republican replacement plan for the Affordable Care Act. Do you like what you've seen?
I do. I do like what I see. Look, we campaigned on this. We assured the American people that if you put Republicans in charge, we would fix what is in a death spiral. The premiums are going up, I think 25% on average across the board in Arizona. Some of them are as close to 100%. Deductibles have gone up. Choice has gone down. A third, almost 1/3 of the counties in this country have only one choice. And so we've got to save healthcare in this country for the American people, and they elected us to solve and tackle difficult problems.
Some of the experts who've looked at the Republican replacement plan see problems with it. Here's the Kaiser Foundation, what they say about it yesterday. With Medicaid reductions and smaller tax credits, this bill would clearly result in fewer people insured than under the Affordable Care Act. The House GOP proposal seeks to reduce what the federal government spends on health care, and that inevitably means more people uninsured. Does that worry you?
Oh, we're always worried, but what we want to do is make sure that people have access to the quality health care that they want. This does push it more out of Washington, D.C. and back to the American people. It does align financial incentives, particularly through the health savings accounts. It does limit and cap what we're doing with the states, but gives them more flexibility, which is what we heard the governors who were in town literally last week. They told us we want more flexibility. So there's a lot to like about this. And you know what I really like about it? We're going to do it in an open and transparent way. Unlike what the Democrats did with the Affordable Care Act, where they slammed it through in less than 24 hours.
Yeah.
It's going to go through a markup. You got 2 committees of jurisdiction that'll offer amendments, and we'll have this debate over the next several weeks.
What if it leaves lower income Americans uninsured?
Well, we want them to be able to have a method so they can get access to it. There are things that we really do like, for instance, dealing with pre-existing conditions, allowing people up to the age of 26 to stay on that.
Tenants,
yeah, get rid of these arbitrary lines of states.
Sure.
So I think there's a lot of good things that we can do.
But access for lower income Americans doesn't equal coverage.
Well, we're getting rid of the individual mandate. We're getting rid of those things that people said that they don't want. And you know what? Americans have choices, and they've got to make a choice. And so maybe rather than getting that new iPhone that they just love and they want to go spend hundreds of dollars on that, maybe they should invest in their own health care. They've got to make those decisions themselves.
So, in other words, for lower income Americans, you're saying that this is going to require some sacrifice on their part.
Well, we got to be able to actually lower the cost of health care. I mean, one of the things we're concerned about is health care inflation is just consuming the American budget, both in the families and at the federal government. We have to be able to drive those cost curves down and provide good quality access. We do think that with more choice, that you will get a better product at a lower price. And that'll be good for everybody on the entire spectrum of income.
But you're not willing to say that more people won't become uninsured.
Well, we lost, I think it was 4.7 million people or so actually lost the doctor that they had last year. The access is way down. When the cost in deductibles go up, you're not serving the American people well. And we have heard definitively that people know that this is not working. So we're going to try something different. We do think we can expand the coverage so that people have access to a quality health care product that they want.
More access, but possibly less coverage. That might be the byproduct.
Well, yes. Yes, I think that's fair, but we're just now consuming this. So more of the analysis has to happen. That's premature. We just saw the bill as of yesterday. We're just starting to consume it. So we'll have to look at how that analysis moves forward.
Fair enough.
Thank you.
Congressman Jason
Thank
Chaffetz,
you.
thanks so
Thanks
much for
having me.
being here in
Yeah,
studio.
thank you.